A league men, also known as the Isuzu League for sponsorship reasons, is a professional soccer league in Australia and New Zealand and the highest level of the Australian Soccer League system. Established in 2004 as the A-League by the Australian Soccer Association ASA as a successor to the National Soccer League in SL, competition commenced in August 2005. Administered by Australian Professional Leagues APL, it is contested by 13 teams, 11 based in Australia with 2 in New Zealand. Seasons run from October to May and include a 27-round regular season followed by a finals series playoff involving the 6 highest-placed teams, culminating in a grand final match. Winners of the regular season is dubbed the Premier, while the winner of the grand final is the season's champion. Differing from other football codes in Australia, where Premier refers to the grand final winner and the winner of the regular season is the minor Premier. Most successful clubs for the season are granted qualification into the Asian Continental Club competitions, the AFC Champions League Elite and the AFC Champions League 2. In 2014, the Western Sydney Wanderers became the first and only winning Australian club of the AFC Champions League. Like the United States MLS, as well as other professional sports leagues in Australia, it does not practice relegation and promotion and furthermore institutes a salary cap. The men's, women's and youth are also brought together under the unified A-Leagues banner. History. Background. A national round-robin tournament existed in various forms prior to the formation of the A-League, with the most notable being the National Soccer League NSL. The formation of the NSL came after Australia's qualification for the 1974 FIFA World Cup, which led to discussion of a national league, with 14 teams eventually chosen to participate in the inaugural season of the NSL in 1977. Under the guidance of the then governing body, the Australian Soccer Federation, later Soccer Australia, the NSL flourished through the 1980s and early 1990s but then fell into decline with the increasing departure of Australian players to overseas leagues, a disastrous television deal with the Seven Network and the resulting lack of sponsorship. Few clubs continued to grow, with Sydney Olympic, Perth Glory, and the newly established Adelaide United the exception in a dying league. In April 2003, the Australian federal government initiated the Independent Soccer Review Committee to investigate the governance and management of the sport in Australia, including that of the NSL. In December 2003, a Crawford report found that the NSL was financially unviable, and in response the chairman of the sport's new governing body, Frank Lowy of the Football Federation Australia, announced a task force would be formed to create a new national competition, a successor to the NSL, which had dissolved at the conclusion of the 2003-04 season after 27 years of operation. Foundations. The A-League was announced in April 2004, succeeding the NSL. 8 teams would be part of the new national competition, with 1 team from each city of Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide, Perth, Newcastle, plus a New Zealand team and 1 from a remaining expressions of interest from either Melbourne or Sydney. The competition start date was set for August 2005. By June, 20 submissions had been received and a month later, 12 consortiums sent in their final bids for the 8 spots. 3 bids were received from Melbourne, 2 each from Sydney and Brisbane, 1 from each of the remaining preferred cities and a bid from the New South Wales Central Coast city of Gosford. Over the next 3 months, each bid was reviewed and on the 1st of November 2004, the 8 successful bidders and the major sponsor were revealed, for what would be known as the Hyundai A-League, with the Hyundai Motor Company unveiled as the official naming rights sponsor for the league. The 8 founding teams were Adelaide United, the Central Coast Mariners, the Melbourne Victory, the Newcastle Jets, the New Zealand Knights, Perth Glory, the Queensland Roar, and Sydney FC, along with 4 former NSL clubs taking part. Adelaide United, the Newcastle Jets, and Perth Glory, as well as the Queensland Lions, who withdrew their first team from the Queensland State League and entered as the Queensland Roar. Plus the New Zealand Knights, who were formed from the New Zealand Football Kings club, were given a 5-year exclusivity deal in their own market as part of a one-city, one-team policy strategy, intended to allow clubs to grow and develop an identity in their respective region without local competition. Initial seasons. On the 26th of August 2005, 16 months after the demise of the NSL, the inaugural season of the A-League began. The first season would see Adelaide United win the Premier's Plate by 7 points over Sydney FC, with Central Coast and Newcastle filling the final 2 spots in the final series. In the final series, Sydney that took out the title after they defeated Central Coast by a Steve Corica goal to claim the first title on the 5th of March 2006. The following season saw Melbourne Victory claim the A-League Premier's Plate when they smashed Adelaide United 6-0 in the final at the Telstra Dome, with Archie Thompson scoring 5 goals in the rout. 15 But the season wasn't without a change, with the New Zealand Knights being replaced by the Wellington Phoenix after the Knights were taken over by New Zealand Football after the team only won 6 times in 42 games and selected overseas talent instead of local. Development and reforms. See also, List of A-League men's seasons. Both Gold Coast United and the North Queensland Fury joined the league in the 2009-10 season. On the 12th of June 2009, Melbourne Heart was awarded a license to join the 2010-11 season. On the 1st of March 2011, North Queensland Fury's A-League license was revoked for financial reasons. On the 29th of February 2012, Gold Coast United also had its license revoked. On the 4th of April 2012, it was announced that a new Western Sydney-based club, Western Sydney Wanderers, would join the league for the 2012-13 season. In January 2014, Melbourne Heart was acquired by the City Football Group and was renamed Melbourne City ahead of the 2014-15 season. In February 2018, officials announced that the league would expand to 12 teams for the 2019-20 season. Later that year, the league announced that Western United FC would join the competition in 2019-20 and MacArthur would enter the following season 2020-21. In the lead-up to the expansion announcements in 2019, club stakeholders entered into discussions with Football Federation Australia FFA to take over ownership of the competition. The league had been created and operated by the FFA since its inception in 2004. Though by 2018 the FFA and clubs were at loggerheads over the permanent ownership structure of the league. A FIFA-backed Congress Review Working Group issued a sweeping 100-page report in August 2018, recommending an expanded domestic Congress and an independent A-League, controlled and operated by the clubs. On the 1st of July 2019, the FFA and Australian Professional Football Clubs Association, the body representing the A-League clubs, announced an agreement had been reached for the FFA to relinquish control of the league to the clubs by the following month, in time for the start of the 2019-20 season. The agreement brought the sport in line with the governance structure utilized in most European leagues. The new ownership body is called the Australian Professional Leagues, a consortium of the A-League clubs and their owners, with certain rights held by the FFA, and a capital investment and ownership stake held by American firm Silver Lake. A-League officials in May 2021 announced that the league will align to the domestic match calendar to avoid clashing with FIFA days, as well as introducing domestic transfer system and national club licensing frameworks. Competition format. Regular season. The regular season runs mainly during the Australian summer, from early October to April of the following year. As of the 2024-25 season, due to the introduction of Auckland FC and an odd number of teams, the competition consists of 29 rounds, with each team playing every other team 2 or 3 times, playing 26 games total. Each team will play 20 for home and away fixtures, plus 2 additional third matches, one of which in Unite round. Additionally, each team will have 3 byes. The teams allotted to home matches against an opponent in one season are allotted 1 home match against that opponent in the following season. Each match sees the winning team awarded 3 competition points, with 1 point each for a draw. The club at the top of this ladder is crowned A-League Premiers, and since the 2005-06 season has been entered into the AFC Champions League. The Premier is presented with a trophy known as the Premier's Plate. At the completion of the regular season, the top 6 placed teams on the league table progress to the final series. The position of each team is determined by the highest number of points accumulated during the regular season. If two or more teams are level on points, the following criteria are applied in order until one of the teams can be determined as the higher ranked. Highest goal difference. Highest number of goals scored, most wins. Highest number of points accumulated in matches between the teams concerned. Highest goal difference in matches between the teams concerned. Highest number of goals scored in matches between the teams concerned. Lowest number of red cards accumulated. Lowest number of yellow cards accumulated. Toss of a coin. Unite Round. Main article, Unite Round. For the 2023-24 and 2024-25 season, the Australian professional leagues announced Unite Round. During this round, all matches were held in Sydney, in Allianz Stadium and CommBank Stadium, with some women's matches being held at Leichhardt Oval, across the second weekend of January. The round is part of a partnership with Destination NSW, and was introduced after the grand final decision was reversed in October 2023, 1 year into its original 3-year stretch after severe fan backlash. Season dates, city venues, matches, attendance, men-women total. 2023 to 4 the 12th to the 14th of January 2024, Sydney Allianz Stadium 4, CommBank Stadium 4, Leichhardt Oval for 3-6-203 11,220 to 47,425. 2024 to 5 the 22nd to the 24th of November 2020 for Allianz Stadium 6, Netstrata Jubilee Stadium 6619111939 for 71305. Pride Round. After Adelaide United player Josh Cavallo became the first openly gay top-flight male footballer in October 2021, the A-League partnered with A-League Women to stage a single Pride men's and women's doubleheader during the 2021-22 season. On the 24th to the 26th of February 2023, both the A-League men and women's competitions staged their first-ever Pride Round, the first occasion in which the leagues had come together to recognize and promote inclusion for the LGBTQIA+ community. Part proceeds from ticket sales across all of the round's fixtures were donated to Pride Cup. In 2024, the Australian Professional Leagues APL announced the continuation of the round, as well as providing inclusion training to all players and key stakeholders. The A-Leagues would be collaborating with the PFA and Pride Cup, who would help to deliver the training. The annual Pride Cup doubleheader between Adelaide United and Melbourne Victory would take place in March, and several men's and women's teams would celebrate by engaging community groups and using indicators such as rainbow corner flags, armbands, special Pride kit or rainbow socks. Finals Series. Further information, A-League Men Finals Series and Australian Professional League Section, 2022 Grand Final Decision. The top 6 clubs at the conclusion of the regular season progressed to the Finals Series. The Finals Series culminates to the A-League Grand Final, where the winner is crowned a league champion. The club that wins the Grand Final is presented with the A-League Champions Trophy. The Finals Series consists of 6 teams who are placed by rank, as determined at the end of the regular season. The Finals Series runs over 4 weeks. In the first week of fixtures, the 3rd through 6th ranked teams play a single elimination match, with the 2 winners of those matches joining the 1st and 2nd ranked teams in 2-legged ties played over 2 weeks. The 2 winners of those matches meet in the Grand Final. This method was initially adopted for the 2021-22 season. Up until 2022, between the 2 Grand Finalists, the team that finished higher on the ladder at the conclusion of the regular season hosted the Grand Final. The only exception to this was if the FA deemed that team's home ground to be an inappropriate venue. For example, in 2008, Central Coast Mariners as the higher-placed team hosted the Grand Final against the Newcastle Jets at Sydney Football Stadium. Due to FFA deciding that Central Coast Mariners' home stadium, Central Coast Stadium with a capacity of 20,000, was too small for the event. On the 12th of December 2022, the Australian Professional Leagues APL announced that the Grand Finals for the 2022-23 2023-24 and 2024-25 seasons would be hosted in Sydney, a decision which received considerable backlash. On the 18th of October 2023, the APL announced that the grand final hosting rights would revert to the original format, and instead a new Unite round was introduced, with the regular season round having all its games played in Sydney. Grand Final Host Stadium. Stadium location no. Hosted years hosted. Sydney Football Stadium Sydney for 2006, 2008, 2013, 2017. Melbourne Rectangular Stadium Melbourne for 2015, 2021, 2022, 2025. Docklands Stadium Melbourne 3 2007, 2009, 2010. Lang Park Brisbane 3 2011, 2012, 2014. Western Sydney Stadium Sydney to 2020, 2023. Adelaide Oval Adelaide 1 2016. Newcastle International Sports Centre Newcastle 1 2018. Perth Stadium Perth 1 2019. Central Coast Stadium Gosford 1 2024. Continental Qualification, AFC Champions League Elite. Further information, Australian soccer clubs in the AFC Champions League. Australian elite clubs are eligible for participation in the AFC Champions League competition each season since the 2007 edition of the tournament. Wellington Phoenix and Auckland FC are not eligible to compete in the Asian Champions League, nor do they compete in the OFC Champions League. Qualification is determined by league finishing positions and the winner of the Australia Cup final, with the number of positions determined by the Asian Football Confederation Club Competition Ranking. Due to the reformatting of the AFC Champions League to have an inter-year schedule from September Northern Hemisphere autumn to spring instead of an inter-year schedule Northern Hemisphere spring to autumn, the qualification format for the 2023-24 AFC Champions League was changed, with a single qualification spot going to whichever of the premiers for the 2021-22 or the 2022-23 seasons accrues the most combined points over both seasons. The only Australian side to win the Asian Champions League is Western Sydney Wanderers in 2014. Adelaide United is the only other club to reach the final, and finished runner-up in 2008. AFC Champions League 2. Australian clubs also participated in the AFC Cup for the first time in the 2023-24 season, with allocated slots based on the AFC Club Competitions ranking which was published on the 24th of November 2021. Central Coast Mariners won this edition in their first ever participation. Other competitions. In 2004-05, Australia was still a part of the Oceania Football Confederation and Sydney FC won the right to compete in the Oceania Club Championship after defeating the Central Coast Mariners in a qualifying tournament. Since 2014, clubs compete in the annual Australia Cup knockout tournament previously known as the FFA Cup. Since 2021, the top 8 teams qualify for the competition's round of 32, while the bottom 4 teams play off against each other for the final 2 slots. Between 2005 and 2008, clubs participated in the A-League Pre-Season Challenge Cup prior to each A-League regular season. In 2013 and 2014, an A-League All-Stars game was also played as a pre-season friendly game between the league's finest players and a high-profile international team. Most A-League men clubs have teams in the A-League Youth competition, which runs in conjunction with the A-League Men as a national youth developmental and reserve league. All players in the youth teams are between the ages of 16 and 21 as of the start of the calendar year for each new season, while 4 overage players from each of the senior teams also allowed to be selected. In addition, the A-League Women operates as the top division of women's league with affiliations to the men's competition. However, the A-League Youth has not been resumed since the COVID-19 pandemic. In response to the debate about the development of a new professional second division, the Australian Championship has been proposed to support the A-League, with the aim to avoid the American franchise-based system and to put in line with European football leagues. Central Coast Mariners, Gosford, New South Wales Industry Group Stadium, 20,059 2004 2005 England. Mark Jackson, Australia. Trent Sainsbury. MacArthur FC, Campbelltown, New South Wales. Campbelltown Sports Stadium, 17,500 2017-2020 Australia. Miles Sturjovski, Australia. Luke Bratton. Melbourne City, Melbourne Victoria AMI Park, 30,050 2009 2010 Australia. Aurelio Vidmar, Australia. Aziz Behich. Melbourne Victory, Melbourne Victoria AMI Park, 30,050 2004 2005 Australia. Arthur Dials, Portugal. Roderick Miranda. Clubs. Further information. List of A-League men clubs. The league is currently contested by 13 teams, 11 from Australia and 2 from New Zealand. A total of 16 teams have competed at some stage in the league's short history. Only 4 of these clubs, Adelaide United, the Brisbane Roar as the Queensland Lions, the Newcastle Jets, and the Perth Glory, existed before the A-League was formed in 2004. Gold Coast United, the New Zealand Knights, and the North Queensland Fury have formerly competed in the league. Unlike most leagues from across the world, there is no system for relegation and promotion of teams. The A-League system thus shares some franchising elements with most other professional leagues in Australia, Major League Soccer, Canadian Premier League, and other major Northern American-based sports leagues. Current clubs. Team City State Stadium Capacity Founded Joined Head Coach Team Captain. Adelaide United, Adelaide, South Australia. Cooper Stadium, 16,500 2003 2005 Brazil. Ayrton Andrioli, Australia. Ryan Kiddo. Auckland FC, Auckland, Auckland Go Media Stadium, 25,000 2023-2020 for Australia. Steve Corica, Japan. Hiroki Sakai. Brisbane Roar, Brisbane, Queensland. Suncorp Stadium, 52,500 1957-2005 Australia. Michael Vulcanis, Republic of Ireland. Joshi. Newcastle Jets, Newcastle, New South Wales. McDonald Jones Stadium, 30,000 2000-2005 Australia. Mark Milligan, Australia. Costa Grozos. Perth Glory, Perth, Western Australia. HBF Park, 20,500 1995-2005 Australia. David Strelick, Australia. Adam Taggart. Sydney FC, Sydney, New South Wales. Allianz Stadium, 42,500 2004-2005 Australia. Uafuktale, Australia. Ryan Grant. Wellington Phoenix, Wellington, Wellington Sky Stadium, 34,500 2007-2007 Australia. Giancarlo Italiano, New Zealand. Alex Roofer. Western Sydney Wanderers, Sydney, New South Wales. Combank Stadium, 30,000 2012-2012 Australia. Ellen Stoshkick, Australia. Lawrence Thomas. Western United Wyndham Victoria Ironbark Fields, 5,000 2017-2019 Australia. John Aloisi, Australia. Ben Gargio. Future clubs. Team City State Stadium Capacity Founded Joined. Unnamed Canberra Club, Canberra, Australian Capital Territory. TBC, 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 TBC. Defunct clubs. Team City State Stadium Capacity Founded Joined Dissolved. Gold Coast United, Gold Coast, Queensland. Skilled Park, 27,690 2008-2009 2012. New Zealand Knights, Auckland, Auckland North Harbour Stadium, 22,000 1998-2005-2007. North Queensland Fury, Townsville, Queensland. Dairy Farmers Stadium, 26,500 2009-2011. Expansion. Main article, Expansion of the A-League men. While making a relatively modest start to ensure future stability, both the FFA and the soccer media indicated significant interest in expanding the league. The 8 foundation clubs had exclusivity clauses for their respective cities valid for 5 years, but this did not exclude teams from other areas joining the league. Before the introduction of the A-League, FFA chairman Frank Lowy speculated that he hoped to expand the league into other cities, mentioning Canberra, Hobart, Wollongong, Geelong, Bendigo, Cairns, Ballarat, Albury Wodonga, Launceston, Christchurch, Auckland, Sunshine Coast and possibly Darwin and later Singapore. In February 2018, officials announced that the league would expand to 12 teams for the 2019-20 season. In December 2018, the FFA announced they accepted the bids of Western United, who joined the league in the 2019-20 season, and of MacArthur FC, who joined the league in the 2020-21 season. In 2021, further steps were taken in an attempt to expand from the recent 12 clubs, with goals being set to get 14 clubs in 2022-23 and a potential 16 clubs in 2023-24. Neither of these goals were met. In March 2023, the Australian professional leagues confirmed plans for the next two expansion clubs to be based in Canberra and Auckland, ahead of the 2024-25 season. In October 2023, the preferred bidder as owner of the new Auckland license was confirmed to be Bill Foley. The license was officially awarded to Foley on the 21st of November 2023. Auckland FC will join the league in the 2024-25 season. On the 13th of June 2024, the APL confirmed that the new Canberra men's team would not begin in the 2024-25 season. On the 13th of February 2025, it was reported that Canberra's entrance would be delayed another season. Rivalries. There are several key rivalries and local derbies that have formed in the A-League, including Melbourne Derby, Melbourne City v Melbourne Victory. The two Melbourne clubs first met on the 8th of October 2010 in a lively game at AMI Park in front of 25,897 fans. Melbourne City, known at the time as Melbourne Heart, came out on top with a 2-1 victory. A significant narrative in Derby history is the role of Melbourne Victory as a more successful club both on and off the field, having joined the A-League 5 years earlier than City. The rivalry is one of the most intense and well-respected in the A-League, producing noticeable atmosphere and some of the largest attendances in the league. The original rivalry, Adelaide United v Melbourne Victory. The rivalry stems from the traditional cross-border rivalry between sporting teams from South Australia and Victoria, but was strengthened by multiple incidents in the 2006-07 season, such as the confrontation between Melbourne Victory captain Kevin Muscat and Adelaide United coach John Kosmina. The two clubs contested the 2007 and 2009 A-League Grand Finals, with Melbourne winning the 2009 Grand Final 1-0 against a 10-man Adelaide United side. The two clubs were also involved in the first and only occasion in the A-League during the 2008-09 A-League season, where they both finished on the top of the ladder, equal on both points and goal difference. Sydney Derby, Sydney FC v Western Sydney Wanderers. The derby was contested for the first time in the 2012-13 season with the introduction of the second Sydney-based club, Western Sydney Wanderers, into the league. Sydney FC grabbed bragging rights by winning the first derby 1-0 at Parramatta Stadium. However, Western Sydney Wanderers won the return match at Allianz Stadium 2-0. A Sydney derby held early in the 2015 season broke the Allianz Stadium record for attendance during a regular season in any football code, dating back to the stadium's opening in 1988. A match in 2016 between the two teams broke the record A-League crowd, with 61,880 fans attending the match at ANZ Stadium. 70 for Sydney Derby is intensified by the geographic distinction between the two clubs within Sydney, as well as historical grievances related to the foundation of Sydney FC. The Big Blue, Melbourne Victory v Sydney FC. This match is so named because blue is the main color of both teams' playing kits, and is also Australian slang for a fight or a contest. The rivalry has emerged as a result of a number of spiteful encounters between the teams in recent years, and due to the long-standing rivalry between Sydney and Melbourne, Australia's two largest cities. The teams have competed against each other in 3 grand finals. In 2010 and 2017, with Sydney winning 4-2 on penalties after a 1-1 draw on both occasions, and in 2015, with Victory winning 3-0. In 2010, Sydney FC won the A-League Premiership on the final day of the season by defeating Victory 2-0. A Big Blue match is traditionally played on Australia Day each year. The F3 Derby, Central Coast Mariners v Newcastle Jets. Named after the former name of the freeway that connects the cities of Newcastle and Gosford, this match features the only two clubs in the league that are not based in state or national capital cities. The two teams' stadiums are just 1 hour apart, and the derby was intensified when they competed against each other for the premiership in the 2007-8 league season and eventually met in the grand final, which was won 1-0 by the Jets. Since 2022, the teams have competed for a trophy made out of a core drill sample of the motorway. The Distance Derby, Perth Glory v Wellington Phoenix. First contested in Wellington with their introduction to the league in 2007-8, this fixture is considered one of the longest away trips in world football for a domestic top-flight competition, with the distance between the two cities, which themselves are in different countries, being 5,225 kilometers. Since 2015-16, the two teams have contested the long-distance Derby Cup, which is awarded to the team with the best results from the 3 regular season fixtures between them. New Zealand Derby, Mai Te Rakiki Te Tonga, Auckland FC v Wellington Phoenix. With the introduction of expansion club Auckland FC for the 2024-25 season, Wellington will have an opponent from the same country for the first time. The first ever edition of this derby is scheduled for the 2nd of November 2024 at Wellington Regional Stadium, and they will meet a further 2 times during the season. On the 9th of August 2024, Auckland announced the signing of former Wellington goalkeeper Alex Paulson on loan from AFC Bournemouth, which was thought to be in contravention of the Cothares rule, which the APL had only announced that morning would be reviewed. Following this announcement, Wellington raised concerns with Football Australia seeking further information about the loan move. Shortly before the start of the 2024-25 season, the league announced the official name of the derby would be Kiwi Classico. However, official channels stopped using that name once the season began. On the day of the first ever match between the two clubs, Take Tioi and Ngiai Hotua presented a special tonga to be awarded to the winner, and dubbed the derby Mai Te Rakiki Te Tonga, which translates to from the north to the south from the Mbori language. Organization, logo and trophies. The current A-League logo was unveiled in September 2021 as part of a rebranding of both the A-League and W-League, bringing them under the same umbrella of A-Leagues by the Australian Professional Leagues. The logo was designed by RGA, a creative agency in Sydney, and led to a major controversy but narrowly avoided legal trouble with building company in Adelaide over design similarities. Isuzu UTE became the naming rights sponsor of the A-League Men in October 2021, and therefore features on all branding. This partnership was extended a further 2 years in December 2023. In January 2017, Football Federation Australia unveiled their new A-League logo, which formed part of a wider branding of the A-League and its subsidiary competitions, the W-League and Youth League. The logo design was inspired by soccer's 3 outstanding features: atmosphere, diversity and unity, and has color alterations tailored to each of the 12 A-League clubs. The changes came into effect before the 2017-18 season. The original A-League logo was designed by Coast Design Sydney. It was the inaugural logo of the league. The two-toned ochre colors represented the sun, earth and desert, while the glow emanating from the center of the logo depicted the playing season's spring and summertime span. The 8 figures that made up the ball shape represented the 8 foundation clubs of the league. The A-League has 2 trophies which are competed for during the season: the Premier's Plate and the A-League Trophy. 96. The Premier's Plate is awarded to the A-League Premiers, the regular season winners, and the A-League Trophy is awarded to the A-League champions, the winner of the grand final. Both pieces of silverware were designed by Sydney design company D3 Design. The A-League Trophy is nicknamed the toilet seat due to its shape. Whereas the Premier's Plate follows a traditional trophy design, the A-League Trophy differs. In 2005, John O'Neill, FFA CEO, commented during the unveiling of the A-League Trophy, "We have a new national league and we feel it is important to redefine the conventional view of a trophy to reflect this." Clive Solari of D3 Design explained the trophy's design, saying we wanted our trophy concept to embody the historical significance of sport in a contemporary design. So we look to history to see how great achievements have been rewarded across all types of games for thousands of years. The winners of the world's original sporting competition, the Olympic Games, were presented with a laurel wreath on their heads. We use this model as a basis for a unique, cutting-edge design. Our trophy is a modern and versatile translation of the wreath. The winners can hold it above their heads as a symbol of success. Squad formation and salary cap. See also, list of foreign A-League men players and marquee player A-League men. The A-League matchday squad includes the typical 11 players, and 5 substitutes, of which one must be a goalkeeper. Prior to the 2013-14 season, just 4 substitutes including one goalkeeper were allowed to be named in the starting lineups for the teams. And squad must comprise a minimum of 20 players with a maximum of 26, subject to several limitations. Within the squad, there can be a maximum of 5 foreign or visa players from outside Australia and New Zealand, in the case of clubs based there, that hold a temporary working visa. 3 players in the squad must also be under 20 years of age. In addition to these 3 under 20 players, clubs are allowed to sign an additional 3 youth players onto full-time contracts at a lower pay rate than the rest of the squad. The A-League had initially proposed that the quota of 5 visa players per A-League club be reduced to 4 in the 2015-16 season, with the limit of 4 possibly become 3+1, which means 3 imports from anywhere and 1 from Asia following regulations in the AFC Champions League. However, after opposition to the proposal by both players and managers, the move was placed on hold. Although league clubs have restricted salary cap, the league since its inception allowed clubs to have 2 marquee players whose salaries are exempt from the cap, plus a number of other exemptions or allowances to incentivize clubs to spend in specific areas. Guest players are also excluded for up to a maximum of 14 league matches. From the 2008-09 season, A-League clubs have been permitted a junior marquee player, one that is under the age of 23, now known as the homegrown player allowance. Clubs can spend up to a collective $150,000 on 3 Australian players aged 23 or younger that have come through the club's youth system. On the 19th of April 2010, the A-League announced that, in addition to the international marquee and junior marquee, clubs would be allowed an Australian marquee from the 2010-11 season. Notable marquee and guest players have included Alessandro Del Piero, William Gallas, Dwight Yorke, Keisuke Honda, Damien Duff, Emile Heskey, Robbie Fowler, Shinji Ono, David Villa, and former FIFA World Player of the Year Romario. Famous Australian marquees include Harry Kewell, John Aloisi, Breda Merton, Joshua Kennedy and Tim Cahill. From the 2021-22 A-League men's season, the league added a designated player slot, whose salary is exempt from the cap, but must be $300,000 $600,000 per season. The following season, the league added a second designated player slot for each club. Commencing in the 2015-16 season, players who have played at their club for 5 to 10 years will be covered by a loyalty player allowance, allowing up to $200,000 of their salary to be exempted from the cap. Additionally, clubs are now permitted a mature-age rookie whose wages are outside the salary cap. The 2016-17 season saw the introduction of a third full-season guest marquee spot, designed to attract high-profile players on short-term deals. The salary cap for A-League clubs is $2.1 million for the 2020-21 season. In the case for new clubs debuting, they were entitled to a $333,000 allowance, thus increasing their salary cap to $2.433 million. Clubs must spend at least the salary floor, which is $1.7 million. The salary cap applies to the 18 to 23 players that clubs have registered to their A-League player roster. The top to highest paid players, designated players, don't count in the cap. Players registered at a club for more than 4 consecutive years as a professional are considered as loyalty players and have the following amounts exempt from a club's salary cap. Year 4 to 12.5%, year 5 to 25%, and 5% increments after that up until a max of 50%. Teams can spend an unlimited amount on for U23 Australian players who have come from the youth team, called homegrown players. Teams can sign up to 9 U20 players on minimum wage called scholarship players who don't count in the squad unless they are one of the 3 U21s in the squad. Any payments above the national minimum wage to these players are included in the club's salary cap. A league salaries and marquees. Season marquee player Australian marquee junior marquee designated player mature aged rookie salary cap minimum salary 205,061 no 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 $1,500,000 206,071 no 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 $1,600,000 207,081 no 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 $1,800,000 208,091 number 1 no no $1,900,000 209,101 number 1 no no $2,250,000 201,01111 no no $2,350,000 201,112 to 111 no no $2,400,000 201 to 13111 no no $2,468,000 $48,000 20131 for 111 no no $2,500,000 $50,000 201 for 15111 no no $2,550,000 $51,000 201,516 to 1 number 1 $2,600,000 $55,000 201,61731 number 1 $2,650,000 $55,715 201,718 to 1 number 1 $2,928,000 $61,287 201,819 to 1 number 1 $3,063,000 $64,113 201,920 to 1 no no $3,200,000 $47,792 $64,113 202 to 1 to 1 no no $2,100,000 $45,000 $62,500 202 to 1 to 2 to 1 1 no 202 to 3 to 1 to number. Stadiums. Main article. List of A-League men's stadiums. A-League games have been played in 33 stadiums since the inaugural season of the A-League in 2005. Sponsorship. Since its formation, the A-League has been sponsored by an official naming rights partner. 10 in 2004, the Hyundai Motor Company was announced as the sponsor for the first 3 seasons of the league, known for commercial purposes as the Hyundai A-League. In 2008, Hyundai renewed its initial contract with FFA for another 4 seasons until 2012, and that contract was further extended by 4 seasons until 2016. This sponsorship deal was then further extended to the end of the 2019-20 A-League season. On the 6th of October 2021, Isuzu UTE was announced as the naming rights partner of the A-League men in a 3-year deal, with the league known as the Isuzu UTE A-League. Period sponsor name, 2005, 6 2019 20th Hyundai A-League. 2020 21st no title sponsor league. 2021 22nd present Isuzu UTE A-League. League championships. See also, List of Australian soccer champions. As of the 2024-25 season, 16 different clubs have competed in the league, with 8 having won the trophy, and 9 winning at least one Premier's plate. 6 clubs have won a Premiership Championship double, a feat achieved 11 times in total. The winner of the regular season tournament is dubbed the Premier, while the winner of the Grand Final is the season's champion. This differs from other football codes in Australia, where Premier refers to the winner of the Grand Final and the winner of the regular season is the minor Premier. Records, main article, A League Men Records and Statistics. Brisbane Roar hold the record for the longest unbeaten run in the competition with 36 league matches without defeat. Jamie Maclaren holds the record for the greatest number of A-League goals, with 151 goals, playing for Perth Glory, Brisbane Roar, and Melbourne City. The A-League record for most goals in a single match is held by Archie Thompson, scoring 5 goals against Adelaide United on the 18th of February 2007, during the 2007 A-League Grand Final, and Jamie Maclaren, who scored 5 goals against Melbourne Victory on the 17th of April 2021. Jamie Maclaren has scored the most A-League hat-tricks with 8. Shane Smeltz and Bobu are the only players to have scored hat-tricks in consecutive matches. Enrique was the first, and so far only, player to score a hat-trick, coming on as a substitute for Brisbane Roar against Newcastle Jets. In 2015, Austrian striker Mark Janko broke the record for scoring in consecutive matches when he scored in 7 games for Sydney FC. Media coverage. In Australia, from the start of the 2005-06 season to the 2012-13 season, television coverage of the A-League in Australia was restricted to the subscription-only Fox Sports channel, to which only 7% of Australian residents had access. On the 19th of November 2012, free-to-air Australian Public Broadcasting Television Network Special Broadcasting Service SBS secured the shared rights, alongside longtime A-League broadcasters Fox Sports, to the A-League from the 2013-14 season with a $160 million Australian dollars 4-year broadcast deal. SBS's coverage ended in the 2016-17 season, with Network 10 securing free-to-air broadcast rights. 10 simulcasted the Fox Sports coverage of the Saturday night fixture on its digital multi-channel 1. From the 2019-20 season, ABC TV has broadcast 1 game a week and Saturday 5 p.m. live on its primary channel. It also has the right to broadcast delayed coverage of some finals matches and the Grand Final. Fox Sports' contract with the A-League, which was renegotiated in June 2020 amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, concluded in July 2021. Since August 2021, as part of a 5-year deal with Viacom, the A-Leagues are being broadcast by Network 10 and Paramount Plus streaming service. Initially, 1 A-League men match per weekend was broadcast on 10's main channel, and all matches were streamed on Paramount. 140 Paramount Plus and 10 hold broadcasting rights through to 2028. Other countries. In New Zealand, the league has been broadcast on Sky Sports since its inaugural season. In the 2019-20 season, the league also broadcast on Qatari beIN Sports after Sky Inc. 4-year partnership for extensive soccer coverage, especially the A-League. The growth of coverage of the A-League outside Australia saw the league broadcast in 65 countries around the world in 2013-14. Full match broadcasts are available in the United States, China, Italy, England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, Canada, the Caribbean, Hong Kong, Singapore, and Myanmar. In addition to the full match broadcasts, highlights of a league matches can be viewed in 53 countries throughout Asia and the Middle East, including Japan and South Korea. In 2014, a 3-season deal with Sony 10 allowed the league to be broadcast live in Asian nations including Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan and Sri Lanka. Every A-League match is also live-streamed globally, allowing games to be viewed online through a subscription service provided in a partnership with the FFA. All games were also broadcast live in the United States on ESPN until 2021. Most games in the United Kingdom are broadcast by BT Sport, but use Paramount Plus live feed for every live game. For the 2014-15 season, the A-League was broadcast in 173 countries. Promotion. The A-League has been promoted using a number of different advertising slogans and strategies since its inception. At the start of the inaugural season, a $3 million Australian dollars advertising campaign was launched, with the television and film advertisements produced by Ridley Scott's production company Scott Free Productions. The theme for the campaign was football, but not as you know it. A new television advertisement was created for the start of the 2007-08 season, which debuted on Foxtel's program Total Football. It was filmed at Bob Jane Stadium in Melbourne. Other campaigns include the 90 Minutes, 90 Emotions, which was used for 2 seasons from 2007 to 2009 and was accompanied by the music track My People from Australian act The Presets.